Today I'm with Coach Pat Dye, formerly Auburn University head football coach. Won 4 SEC championships, won almost 100 games when he was coaching here at Auburn. And I wanted him just to share with you some stories that might help you as you move forward during this coronavirus. And we're all going through tough times, but maybe Coach Dye can shed some light and some stories that might help you. So,
Well,
Coach?
Well, one thing, you said I was a football coach, and I was. But I was also the athletic director for 12 years. I didn't make a dime for being the athletic director. Auburn was a perfect situation for me as an institution and the kind of people that would choose to come to school at Auburn. And I was the right kind of personality that the Auburn people took a liking to. You look back over your life and you say, wow, how did this happen? And you really can't come up with one specific answer. I mean, probably a lot of little things in there that kept you from getting a job like this.
I was born and raised on a farm, and I had 2 older brothers. When you're the third son, you don't win at anything. You finish second or last at everything. I didn't like finishing last, and I didn't like finishing second. And I'd fight and scratch back, but ultimately you'd end up getting whipped or defeated. You can't beat your older brothers. As time went on, fighting with them and competing with them and losing made me tougher.
This underdog mentality became an integral part of Pat Dye's approach to life once he arrived at Auburn.
But when I picked up the Auburn Creed after I got here, and I read the Auburn Creed, and it was right down the line, I believed in everything that the Auburn Creed said. The one phrase in there that resonated with me the most of any of them is having a spirit that is unafraid. Because you can never achieve your fullest potential if you're afraid.
There's gonna be a lot of days when you lay your guts on the line and you come away empty-handed. Ain't a damn thing you can do about it but go back and lay them on the line again. You'll keep fighting like you did today. You'll keep playing like that. You can build a foundation that we can live a long, long time on it all.
When we started winning in football, it resonated throughout the whole campus, and it began to get better and better. What I think Auburn University did for me, personally, is it gave me the chance, and it wasn't easy, but it gave me the chance to be the best that I could be as a football coach.
Coaching extends far beyond the playing field, and a good coach is also a father, a leader, and a mentor. These qualities helped attract the names that brought a sense of dignity back to Auburn.
The Stacy Searles and the Jeff Bergers and the Craig Ogletrees and the Quentin Regans and Tommy Agee and Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson loved Auburn. I didn't ask Bo Jackson if he was coming to Auburn. He told me he was coming. We were talking, he said, "Coach, I'm coming to Auburn." He said, "I want to play football in the fall and run track and play baseball in the spring." And he came, and the rest of it's history. But think what he's meant to this institution. Think what he's meant to me in my life.
But I'm gonna tell you something. I wouldn't swap this year for any year that I've been at Auburn. I wouldn't swap it, men, because I've watched you struggle and I watched you wrestle with them angels but I watched you grow up and become men. I watched you become men.
And of course, I'm out of it now. But a lot of people didn't even know. We had a great record in all sports. 12 years as I was athletic director. I'm as proud of that as I am of football. You know, you grow up and you look back over your life when you get as old as I am, and I'm 80, and wonder how did this happen? Coach Bryant hired me at Alabama in 1965. And I had never walked on the field as a coach. He had no clue whether I could coach or not. And I told him in the interview, I said, Coach, I don't know if I can coach or not. I said, the only thing I know about coaching is what I learned playing. He said, well, if we hire you, we just let you watch your linebackers. So I watched the linebackers over there for 9 years. And that was a great experience. And then having a chance to go to East Carolina, and it was on a building stage, on a youthful stage. And they needed somebody with some energy and did a lot of things at East Carolina to make the program better. We were double-seated stadium. We went from 17 to 35,000 during the 70s when I was coaching there. Again, I couldn't tell you any one specific thing that this is, because there was a lot of little things that led me down that road. And just like the East Carolina job, I got the job because I had a good friend up there. Went to school at Georgia with him. He was a veterinarian. And all he did was get me in town, and they wouldn't let me leave. I mean, I went through the interview, and I had never been a head coach. And I sat around the committee. They were selecting the coach. This guy owned the Pepsi-Cola company, and this guy owned the furniture company, and this guy ran the bank, National Bank, and this guy. They were all business people. Not one of them had a clue about a football team or what it took to win in football. They were good at what they did. And I finally listened to them long enough to where I said, wait a minute. I said, hold it. I said, we've been in here for 45 minutes and ain't nobody in this room got a clue whether I can be your head coach and be successful or not. Because I don't either. I said, but if you got guts enough to hire me, I got guts enough to come and we'll find out. And they hired me. They offered me the job that day. And I mean, it was a little bit of an odd situation. I mean, I was the only one sitting at the table and knew what a football team looked like. The rest of them just were good at their trade, whatever they was, Pepsi-Colas and banks and furniture stores. Most of them had lots of money. That's usually the way it is, and a lot of times people with a lot of money, they need to be part of the process, but they don't need to want to be making a decision on hiring folks when it's out of their expertise.
What was that like for you, your first time filling a staff?
Me filling a staff? Well, they didn't even have a number of coaches. I think they had 7 coaches and you could have 9. I'll tell you exactly what I did. I hired young coaches and split the salary and made graduate assistants out of them. And their wives worked. First thing I said, your wife worked? They said, yeah. I said, good. I said, you can live in the dorm and eat on the training table. And I wasn't, listen, I was looking for hungry folks. You know, when I went to Wyoming that 1 year, that probably was a good thing because I found out who really wanted to be coaching with me somewhere else. And not all of them went. But the ones that, when we came back to Auburn, and then they wished they'd have gone to Wyoming for that 1 year.
But Pat, when you came back to Auburn, you had some tough times early on.
Well, they needed some things. Yeah, one thing that I told the team first meeting when they introduced me to the team, to make it here and be successful, you're gonna have to love football, and you're gonna have to love Auburn. I said, just loving Auburn ain't gonna be enough. Just loving football ain't gonna be enough. I said, but if you love Auburn and you love football, you got a chance. You know, you don't have to let the 2 or 3 of them go. They're troublemakers and problem children, and they find out You know, I think the policy kind of had been, if you was a superstar, they'd discipline you, but they would always bring you back and pet you and do whatever it took to get you to come back. I didn't operate that way.
Pat, how do you look at the hard times that we're going through now compared to the hard times that you had in coaching, and how do you relate to that?
The biggest difference is that, you know, we just had one football team and one staff to manage. We didn't have the whole country like it is today. So I don't know how you would do a better job than what we're doing. And you know, when it's a crisis going on like we got going on right now, everybody is involved and everybody is feeling sorry for somebody else or feeling sorry for themselves first. They start trying to look around and find the easy way to get money. And there's probably lots of ways to do that, mainly the politicians up in Washington. And we'll end up spending a ton of money on things that don't have anything to do with this virus. Having the virus in this, like we've got it, sets the stage for them to use as an excuse to get money somewhere else in another area. And I don't see our politics getting better. What I see is who does the smartest job of stealing the money. I mean, you can call it what you want to call it, but when a senator or governor or somebody takes a pile of money, you know, everybody in the United States puts money in that fund of what they print money in Washington, D.C. I saw a really interesting show the other night, because Washington, D.C. is the only place in America where they make money. I'm talking about physically make money. And they can make as much as they want. There's so much dishonesty and so much stealing that's going on in our country today. I don't know that a president, I think he's between a rock and a hard place, because I think the guy has don't nobody like him, but he's done a very good job.
Mm-hmm.
I just come from the old school where you did a day's work and you got a day's pay. And I know that'll work. May not be the fastest way, but you won't have any trouble.
So Pat, there's been some talk about us maybe not having football this fall. What's your
I don't care. I mean, you know, I think in the situation we're in this country right now, I think anything is possible. But I'll tell you one thing. Now, if we don't have football, college football, high school football, pro football, it is going to be a major economical setback that it'll take years from now.
What about just the teams themselves not playing for a year and then coming back the next year?
You know, they might be able to come up with some camps and places they can go and train and stay in shape, you know, and get better physically and grow and mature. It's no question that it's had a tremendous impact on everybody, everywhere. I mean, it's touched all of our lives. From the way you go to shop in a grocery store, and then you can't go to church.
Right.
What I think would be really interesting is if they do go forward with the football season, it's almost like it would be a great equalizer, because you use the spring ball to do your two-a-days and practice. And
Well, let me tell you something. You know, if they come up and they decide to go on and have football, it will be a tremendous lift for the outlook and the attitudes and people, the way they react and respond.
You know, we all know that football's a violent collision sport. Don't the bodies do a lot of acclimation during the spring ball and two-a-days? How is that going to hurt with players moving into a...
Well, yeah, everybody's got the same.
But do you expect more injuries maybe?
Not really. You're gonna get injuries. Most of it is because players is loafing when they get hurt.
Or tired?
Yeah, well, they get tired. You're right. Getting tired, one of them.
What's the most difficult decision you've ever had to make as an athletic director?
I don't know. We had a game with Kansas. I played my second year. And I guaranteed going out there was $250,000. Well, it wouldn't even pay for the trip. And I called the athletic director. I said, look, let's work this game. And I give you $1 million to come to Auburn and play. We'll make $1.5 million instead of going in the hole. And on top of that, your people won't have to go to the game and watch you get the hell beat out of you. And that leg rush came over and played. He got his $1 million. Went home, folks. Whatever you do in Kansas, he probably might have been looking at it on TV or something. I think the school was 48-6 or 48 to nothing. But it was a good deal for both of us. They ended up making $1 million, and we did too. They wasn't going to throw enough people to raise $1 million when we got out there to play.
Pat, a lot of these people that you're talking to are fundraisers or raising money, and you and I have raised money before. We did a library campaign, if you remember, a $5 million library campaign that you and I worked together on. And
we went and got the first $500,000, didn't we?
Yeah. And then you know, we built the suites while you were there, and we had to go out and sell those suites to people, and that was a sales job in itself. And I remember
we didn't have them all sold.
No, we didn't have them all sold. I didn't have them all sold.
But I tell you what, you can't get one right now.
You can't. They got a waiting list. But I remember when I took you into one of the suites. The first time I took you into the suite, the first thing you said was, "Where are the mirrors?" And I said, "What mirrors?" You said, "People that buy these things have a big ego and they need to see themselves."
Hey, they do.
They do. So, any advice on these people that are trying to raise money out there and during this time? I mean, you've been out there before.
You don't laugh. But I'm going to tell you, every time that I've ever been in trouble in my life, I just found a way to work a little harder. Instead of calling on 8 people, I'd call on 12. Just work a little harder. Get up a little earlier, stay up a little later. And I wasn't smart enough to do it without spending time on the job. And I felt good about myself if I was getting up at 5:30 or 6 o'clock or whatever and getting started. And then how many times me and you come home late at night and go to see somebody? Don't pick out the easy ones. Pick out all of them. Anybody that lets you come see them, you go. Because you don't know. And the guy that you go see, you think very little slim chances of having any success with him. That'd be the guy that hands you the checkbook and said, right there. And the ones that you think would do it, a lot of times they won't even talk to you. You can't even make an appointment with them. But if you call on all of them, I used the mud puppet theory. Now, you don't know nothing about what I'm fixing to tell you, but I'll tell you anyway. My brothers and I used to set out set hooks in the creek every weekend. Well, we'd catch mud puppies in the spring branch to bait the hooks with every Friday night. And I was the youngest of two older brothers. And we'd always have a contest. Who would catch the most mud puppies to bait up with? And what you learn is the more logs you turn over and the more rocks you turn over, the more mud puppies you find. And that's who was going to work the hardest. And that's country as it gets. It don't get in the country at that. But that's kind of the way I was raised. And I had two older brothers. I never wanted anything because they was always 2 years and 4 years older than me. It was when I was born, and they still are today. Was one of them. And one of them is dead.
Well, but what you just said and talked about is a basic principle that we talk about in this business. This is a numbers game. The more people you see, the better chance you have of raising money.
When you walk in his office, you want him to feel like he's the most important person that you're going to talk to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he is.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you use that same principle in recruiting student athletes?
I was a pretty good recruiter. But it was more than that recruiting. You know, I'd try to wrap them, put them in a web, and I don't know if it's true in spiders or not, but the mama is the one that weaves the web. So if you get the mama, chances are you catch one of the children. When I go in the recruit's home and go in the front door, I'd go straight to the kitchen where Mama was cooking. And it's a lot easier to get the calf if you got the cow.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Bo Jackson's mama had a lot to do with him coming to Auburn now. And he ain't the only one that's up there. I mean, and if Bo was sitting here today, said, I'm scared of two folks. Coach Dye and my mama.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows we both live in, you know, without, you know, he's just one of our children.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when he left Auburn, of course, we had a growing relationship when we came. A lot of people say, why didn't he go to Alabama? I said, well, hell, he didn't want to go to Alabama. He wanted to come to Auburn. He's an Auburn kind of kid.
Mm-hmm.
And he could do anything. I didn't know he was as good as he was. Nobody else did.
That's right.
I knew how good he was when he ran in an indoor track meet.
Mm-hmm.
He won the 60, the 69 hurdles, the broad jump, pole vault. Won about half of the events and more in the indoor state track meet. And that's when I realized that we had something special. When the Yankees drafted him #1, I didn't even pick up the phone and call him. I was going to make him pick up the phone and call me and tell me, say, Coach, I just signed with the Yankees, or I'm thinking about signing with the Yankees or whatever. what's that guy's name down in Tampa? Holzhauser,
Steinbrenner,
Steinbrenner.
George Steinbrenner.
I think, yeah, I think Coach Brown had something to do with that. I'm talking about his interest in Bo. I really do.
Yeah.
He went down there and took him fishing, said it was legal and all, and they knew he was breaking the damn rules the whole time. He didn't. But that cut him out from playing college baseball.
Mm-hmm. You think he would have signed with the Yankees?
You know, he was offered $1.5 million to sign with the Yankees. And his mama told him, said, boy, said, we doing all right. She said, you go to school.
Good for her. Mm-hmm.
And, but Bo's different now. I don't think he wasn't, I mean, he was different. Just 99% of the people would have jumped all over the money, and you could lead Bo anywhere, but you couldn't push him, you couldn't drive him nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And he's made a wonderful daddy and solid citizen. That's what when I think about Bo Jackson today, I don't think about him running 95 yards or 250 yards against Florida or Alabama. I think about what kind of daddy he's been, and what kind of husband he's been. Because that's what matters.
Right.
And you ain't gonna be no football star all your life.
That's right. Coach, thank you for taking the time.
Did you? I don't know. We talked about a lot of stuff, man. You got what you need.
I think so. Do you think we got a lot? We got a lot there.
We do.
Yeah, we got a lot. Just I want to just thank Coach Dye for taking his time to share some of his experiences with you, and you know, a lot of things he said is true in our profession. You got to work hard, and I think when we come back from this coronavirus, I think you got to work harder than you've ever worked before if you're going to get back to where you were.